5:30. So the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anyone have anything they would like to remove from the consent agenda? Okay, moving on to special activities, we have a public hearing for the tax budget. Russell?
So we need first thing we do, we need to get a motion to send.
Is there a motion to recess the regular meeting?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Muscal.
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard.
Yay.
Mr. Wade.
Yeah.
All right, there's nothing special about this tax budget. It's the same thing that we do every year. Basically, we send a preliminary budget to the county. The county gives us a certificate of estimated resources that we then use to make the real budget later in the year. It's required by ORC, blah, blah, blah.
Anybody have any questions? I like the
3 blocks.
Minutes, blah, blah, blah.
Perhaps.
Read all 3.
Anybody have any questions for Russ about the tax
I do
budget
not.
he's going to present? Is there a motion to close the public hearing and reconvene the regular meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Gabbard.
Yay.
Mr. Muscal.
Yay.
Mr. Wade.
Yay. Okay, now is there a motion for us to direct the fiscal officer to send the tax budget to the auditor?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Muscal.
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard.
Yay.
Mr. Wade.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I
guys.
have to ask for public comments.
You know, I think we're okay. There's nobody here.
Yeah, the election here too.
I'll make note of that.
I'm sorry, I missed that one.
Your response rates again.
It's election year.
Oh boy.
That's all right.
Okay, Russell, and do you have any fiscal business?
I'm rolling today. I'm rolling today.
You're right.
But I wanted to make one note because this is something that we haven't changed, maybe in, I think, maybe 100 years, but we changed the
I
format.
can't attest that part.
Is that true?
I was going to say anything.
Well, I was going to ask you, Ed, if you had any comment on it, but we're going to 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper and not using pre-printed. We can't even find somebody that prints the books like we had anymore. So just a small change, but it's something that hopefully will make it easier for people to read, and also it makes it easier to scan because now the paper doesn't have to be perfectly in line to work.
Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, you should.
Yeah. You should probably,
I sent a copy to him too. So
probably make a motion of it. No, we're good.
You're a bad boy. That's it, sir. That's all I have.
Any questions for us?
The size of the paper is all you have tonight, right?
Well, it's if you want to know, there's we settled on Times New Roman as the font.
That's fantastic. That
Very
makes me feel better.
Georgia.
I didn't know that.
No,
Okay.
no.
Or Garamond.
No.
The fact that you know the names of the font is a little disturbing.
How about the fact that his default color of font, print is purple?
Purple.
That's what I...
They've done studies, it's easier on the eye. And I know, no, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
So is my wife than me, but I mean.
All right,
Okay,
moving
fair
right
enough.
along.
Moving along.
Yeah.
If nothing from fiscal business, moving on to public comment, which obviously we have none, so we'll move on to new business. Fire department, we have recommendations to make conditional offers of probationary employment to the following personnel, and they are Eric Bonfrey, Anthony Marinelli, if I said that right, Andrew Cal, James Clemens, Greg Schubridge, and James Powell, at the rate of $24.53 an hour. Is there a motion to make this probationary employment offer?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard.
Yay.
Mr. Buseball.
Yay.
Mr. Wade. Yay.
And we also have firefighter paramedic qualification for lateral entry and will be hired at a step rate of $23.70 an hour for Greg Arnold. Is there a motion to hire Greg Arnold for the $23.70?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. And then we have firefighter EMTs to be hired at entry level at $19.47 an hour for Megan Jordan, Brandon Maurer, and Rock Boland. Is there a motion to hire these individuals as firefighter EMTs?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. Is this Rock Boland the football player?
It is.
Good for him. Last I knew he was roofing, so he's got out of the roofing business, not the
He did.
fire
He
business.
took his daughter to a field trip down in Franklin and fell in love with that locker room style atmosphere and jumped in with both feet. Here he is.
Well, he's known as a locker room.
He does this some fun.
I'm sure your boys will help him out.
Yep. Anything else under the fire district at this time?
No, sir?
Okay. We have, under new business, we have Resolution 5309, a resolution declaring personal property as surplus and approving the internet auction, direct sale, donation, disposal, or destruction of said personal property and dispensing with the second reading. And is there anybody have any questions about 5309?
Oh.
Is that right? All right.
Yeah.
That's good. Is there a motion to approve 09?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. And then moving out of the new business fire district into new business administration, we have Resolution 5310, a resolution to establish Blue Creek Township's indigent burial policy as prescribed by ORC 915, 9.15, and dispense with the second reading. Matt?
So it's possible that somewhere along the line, we've passed this before as a organization, but I certainly couldn't find it, and obviously the statute's updated from time to time. This was born out of a call we got about 2 months ago from hospice that said that one of our residents was, declining fast. And they were indigent, she was indigent, her husband was indigent, and we might have to bury it, but it turned out that she was, her final expenses were taken care of by philanthropist or somebody who stepped in to take care of the business. But it did underscore the need to have a more formal policy just to acknowledge the requirements under 9.15 of the township or municipality to bury someone who is either themselves indigent or is claimed by someone who is indigent given the circumstances that are listed under 9.15. I won't bore you with the details. They're in the exhibit that I provided with the resolution, so if you have any questions.
I know that we have done this a couple times over the years, but it's been 30 years ago that we have had that.
It happened.
Yeah, it does.
I thought we had it with the one on 741.
We did.
Not that long ago, yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, but it's beautiful now, they just sold it.
Okay, is there a motion to approve 5310?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. And new business planning and zoning, we have resolution 5311, a resolution determining that the maintenance of specific tracts of land constitutes a nuisance, dispensing with the second reading and declaring an emergency. And we have an A through H listing.
Yeah, so on the agenda, it's A through H. On the actual resolutions, 1 through 8. Number 1 are A, and 8 or H are repeat offenders from this year. They did a partial job, so I wanted to give them time to actually finish it. They have not finished it, so we need to go back. One was mowed during the many rainstorms and left for dead. The other, they're not mowing their septic area, so they have a new mound system and they're not mowing it. So hopefully the second notice, and we'll bring home the need to do what I've asked them to do. Number 2, or B, a lot that's over 5 acres in size, and it's a panhandle lot on Township Line Road. It is enrolled in the CDB program. I did talk with the auditor. They're not aware of it particularly having crops on it, but it's part of a holdings by the family that's in that area. that was a cumulative process for having crops. Talking with the adjoining property owner to the south, who's the complainant, says he's never seen it cut for hay. It's at that height. I don't know if they're going to cut it for hay or not. They did not respond to me. I need to know which way you want to proceed, since we do have a provision underneath Trustee Resolution 5192, which got updated in 2019, that said when we enter into this type of scenario, the board would go case by case to determine what to do. So that is why at the back of the page, for the last 3 or 4, there's fill in the blanks. So if you're wanting to treat it as a regular lot, cut in its entirety, we have the direction. If you want it to be, if truly hay is going to occur on the property, we'll know here in the next week, I would assume, or so, that it's going to be cut as such. If it does get cut for hay, we want a border to be placed around the property, so this adjoining property owner to the south feels something cut. So that's where I want to have discussion.
Okay, let me ask, that's 5 acres, and you, I know you probably just said this, but that is a part of a bigger parcel?
That they own. So the Arrington properties are the flag lot, the Kearns lot in the front, and then the 2 properties that were north, they have sold 1 property. And so, I mean, okay.
I saw that.
What page is that?
So they used to own basically the corner.
So this is just like a
Thanks.
Yeah, so this property is now sold, this is under the control, this is under the control, that's sold, this is under the control, this is the home site. So collectively, they're enrolled into the CAU program.
Yep.
And the last time they were checked, they said that they were doing corn and soybeans, is what was put down. Obviously not hay, but you have the ability to change out what you're growing. This just hasn't had a recheck since the initial application. So
Yeah.
Just a barn on the property, not a house.
that's correct, there's just a barn on that property. I've been dealing with,
I was going to say, at least, at the very least, we should ask them to mow around the edge of it to give some benefit to the neighbor.
that's historically what we've done with other chunks that we're doing agriculture before we do an update. This is the first one we've had since that. Or you want it to be a front yard setback, which we typically did back in the day as the setback, in that case it'd be a 75-foot distance, or do you want to have something less, or something consistent, hey, we'll start doing that X, Y, or Z? Complainant is the property owner of the south.
But the owner has not said anything about doing hay, that's just one of our hypothetical options they would have.
Well, I mean, at this point in time, the grass around their front field is mowed to what appears to be what would be a hay field. This rear property has not been touched, so it's just been left. And full disclosure, the whole reason I brought this property is a dispute between the southern property owner and this property, because if you look on the aerial, there is a darker green area that the southern property owner was mowing their property to the north. So it was a property line dispute that started, and that's now started several different issues on the property. So,
I see.
yeah, so it's never simple. It's never anything other than zoning. So with that, I don't know how you want to proceed. Again, it looks like the front yard could be cut for hay, to answer your question, Mr. Mitchell. I mean, they are maintaining their property around the homestead, and they have a front field. This would be one of the other parcels that they've accumulated in there. This morning, there were 2 properties on the township line in 73 that were already cut for hay. I know that there was a property further out in the township that was cut several weeks ago for hay. So you guys cut hay, you know, how the weather is determinant and the different types of labor involved and stuff.
Do it.
So,
Yeah, get it now.
yeah.
Well, in reality, it doesn't look like, it doesn't sound like they're going to cut it right. It's probably just a piece that they don't really, they're just setting on it. I would make them do a 75-foot setback, quite honestly. And at that point, they might as well cut the rest of it.
Yeah, and it's, if you're wanting it to be along the southern boundary to benefit this property owner, the new property owner to the north, you know, And if we do 75 on both, yeah, you're starting to chunk into the entire holdings
I
of.
would say 70, wherever there is a resident, another residence, not backing up to their property, I think they should do the 75 foot, or at least, that's what I'm thinking right now, unless you guys have a better idea.
No, I'm good with 70. I'm looking at it, and based on the actual property line, he's already done part of that himself.
Yeah.
And there's a tree line, so
Evergreen.
sounds more like, yeah, the evergreens.
Okay, is there an evergreen line, if you cut the evergreens to the evergreens on one side and then 75 foot on the other side?
Yeah, if you look,
Okay.
Really, along the northern, there's evergreens, and the southern, there's.
that's probably 40 feet at least.
Okay,
And this one's got-
I was here.
Oh, yeah, that's where it's there.
And then it's been.
So that you're looking,
So this,
I'm
the
sure
first,
this is
the
kinda like, yeah,
corner is looking north.
Yeah.
And I'm looking
Maybe just go
south,
75
east,
feet.
and south. This is the one.
That
side.
gives us
Exactly.
Exactly. Let's just go 75 feet on both sides, and
Both
not
sides.
make it complicated, regardless of where the trees are.
Okay. So north and south, 75 foot minimum. And then it's cut to the 8-inch minimum height for consistency with the other.
That makes sense.
All right, then I know how to fill out the paperwork, and make a modification.
Okay.
Okay. I can answer questions about the others if you'd like. They are the repeat offenders historically from subdivision on Pekin.
I made a call on that one this morning, just to let, yeah, so.
And some of them are being developed, I mean.
Right, yeah,
active
those
development
people are
occurring.
actually taking care of their,
But we have some.
Tim and Michelle Fiddle are building out there. Pekin.
Okay.
so whenever you guys are done, we just make the motion to amend what you just did, and then Mr. Cross can put it in, and then it'll be, then you would pass the amended resolution.
They have a blank, is there anything other than the
Well,
blank?
it's
Just
no
fill in the
longer,
blank, sorry, yeah.
well, it's no longer a border, now we're just talking north and south.
Just north and south,
Yeah.
75 feet, north and south. Okay, I'll just add that, that's good.
Yeah, but Mr. Wade, if you just make a motion to amend it to say what Mr. Palmer said, and then you'll pass the amended resolution.
Okay. Anybody have any other comments?
Yeah, I don't mean to cut off that discussion, but when you're ready to.
I think we're probably ready.
Yeah, for the amendment, can you get you to do it twice since I already filled out the paperwork?
We're just gonna approve the amended
Yeah.
resolution instead of.
Oh, we'll just do that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect then.
Yep.
Now we're back to.
Pay attention, Russ, come on. Is there a motion to
The tax budget.
approve the amended resolution for this, all of these properties? As Mr. Palmer has indicated, we will do.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Musical?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. Anything else, Mr. Palmer?
Well, now this time.
Nice job.
Moving on to the police department, we have a recommendation to accept the donation of $1,000 from Rocco Sarah?
I butchered it too, sir, I have no idea.
Serio.
Yeah.
Serio. Anyway,
For sure.
and Mark Munieri.
That's definitely not how you say that one, but that's okay. I would say Munier.
Munier,
Yeah.
to the benefit for safety talent
Right.
in 2021.
Yeah, we call them Rocco and Mark. They've become a fixture in the township, donating to Sefton Town every year. This year they donated $1,000, and I'd ask the board to accept that on their behalf. They come in a couple times a year to the police department and provide some meals out of the blue and stuff like that, so we're appreciative of their attention to us and appreciative of a $1,000 donation.
Absolutely. Is there a motion to accept this donation?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Musical?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. And now we have the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Musical?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. We have some staff updates. Matt?
Well, we've got a work session planned in conjunction with our next trustee meeting, May 28th. I've asked Scott Sendez from KZF to come to that one to present to the board a current status of our construction facilities project, for which there's supposed to be groundbreaking on July 2nd?
It's groundbreaking.
July 2nd.
If it starts, it's groundbreaking.
Yes, it's been delayed twice, but, that's the latest, but that's why I asked Scott to come and inform the board of what's going on, site,
I'm the building.
redevelopment, that sort of thing.
Forgive me, but I am not going to be able to attend the meeting on the 28th. I totally missed it in my calendar.
I can make the meeting, but I'm gonna have a problem with the work session.
We'll reschedule the work session.
That's fine. Yeah, let's do it. Can we do it at the 14th, or do you want to do it on the whatever the second meeting is in July?
Whatever the board's pleasure.
12th and 26th.
12th and the 26th?
Yeah.
I'm not going to let me one of those things, so you want to do it on the 12th, do the work session on the 4th?
You want to do it before the meeting or after?
Board's pleasure, probably afterward.
Okay.
I'll make sure Scott's available, or see if he's available.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's good.
So we're doing it 5:30 and after that,
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you charge after hours? Is it more?
Double.
Okay. Perfect.
Right.
That works out well.
Yeah.
He wanted to give him a bonus. this year.
Sure, exactly, why not?
But you guys get 2.5 times the rate. So that's beautiful.
John Moore's
Up to $12,
Very good.
All right.
Yeah, the UD pizza, that's a great call.
Okay. Okay. Anything else from staff updates? Chief, fire department?
I saw that Safewise, who does the one of the Safest City studies every year, they just named us number 4 in the state of Ohio for Safest Cities, so we keep hanging in that top 10, and Springboro's number 5 on the list. Hamilton Township was 7th, 8th in the running there, so three places here in Warren County made top 10 for Safest City in the state of Ohio under Safewise study, so.
Good for you.
Well done.
Congratulations.
Other than that, we had a bit of a service last week with Chase and all that. And if you guys have any questions you want to ask about that, I'd be more happy to go back through that. So, but and still Casey Jane, Trish Allen, that's what started the thing, so and it turned into a mess. So
Have they apprehended the other two, or you just have the ID?
we have not apprehended them. No, none of them are from here. They're all
Yeah, you
from
mentioned
Florida
that.
and South Carolina. The van was rented in Florida the weekend before this event, so we think we know who the other two are. Now it's going chasing to Florida and all those things that's going to entail that. So we're also looking at the individual that's in the hospital. If he were to pass, that would elevate charges to probably some manslaughter issues as someone caused the death of another in a crime. So he is not in good condition. So
And this was one of the 4 of them?
correct.
The first one?
Actually, the 2 of them bailed out right here beside the building, and it just so happened that our cameras caught that on the building because the cruisers had flipped on the car. By the time they got around here, those 2 had already jumped out, so we were able to see what transpired there. And one broke his leg or lower foot, and the other one has some severe head trauma. So not real good. So he's not been conscious since it happened. So there would be some elevated charges if he were to pass that we'd be dealing with too. So we're sorting through that mess now.
We've got cameras at Casey Jane, right?
There is a camera there that the city provided. I don't want to get too much into security, but it probably could do better.
Okay.
So that's a chat I'll have with them. At some point, I've been in communication with them this week. Since Casey Jane, I've talked to them a little about the thefts that were occurring there and the investigation we got. We've been keeping them plugged in on that. So, and that I'll have a conversation about the cameras. So, but that's how we actually ended up with a description of the vehicle.
Right.
From Monday is we did capture that there, and then we knew what they were looking for on Tuesday when everything happened. So.
Might be a relatively easy conversation to have. The city has some parks people as a weekend.
Right, that's all that. But those were bathrooms, and we're not gonna put cameras in there, but you could have it outside. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
How fast was the car going when they jumped out of the van?
They were accelerating. They turned northbound on Bumble Hill. The cruisers were flipping around to come after him, and they were accelerating, and then the two decided to come out the sliding door on the side. He did not slow down for them and continued accelerating from there. So, at that point,
Yeah.
we really didn't realize two had jumped out. We just had the one in the ditch. And actually, the other guy was hiding right here in the evergreens, and the officer couldn't see him, or he's hiding. The camera caught it. So, knowing that we had a weapon missing from the previous week from Casey Jean out of the purse, a little troubling as to if they were the same ones that did that one, as to where that weapon was at that time, who had it, but then he ended up going across the street, and we had the manhunt, and OSP flew a helicopter in from Columbus. If you haven't seen that video, it's pretty impressive. Where the heat, thermal imaging, identifying him in the pitch black next to the water underneath the trees.
That thing came from Columbus?
Came from Columbus, yeah. Yeah, the sergeant, the local sergeant here, called his buddy who was up. He said, "Need to get down here, Kirby's got a wild one going."
Was he already in the air?
We're gonna have a chase, and he was just, the sergeant was just here, because that OSP picked up our accident, so we could do the rest of it. And he said, his buddy said, "Yeah, I've got bad weather in between us, but I'm coming." And he said, "If I get hit by lightning, I'm gonna leave your butt." But it was worth it, and had we not had that, we'd have never found that guy back in there. So it was luck that he was up, and luck he was willing to hustle on down here and get involved, so.
Very nice, absolutely.
Very fortunate.
Okay, any other updates? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah.